I'm on a mission to platinum as many Call of Duty games as I can, so today I'm taking it all the way back to 2008 to complete COD World at War's Platinum Trophy. World at War's veteran campaign is widely considered as one of the hardest veteran campaigns in the entire franchise, and it was most definitely an experience, to say the least. The World at War campaign has you playing out the events of World War II from two different perspectives, the Americans and the Russians. The very first mission of the game, Semper Fi, sees us play out the raid on Mackinac Island as the Americans. And as we fought through enemies and saved our comrade from a burning soldier, we unlocked our first mystical trophy, Saving Private Ryan. After fighting through some more enemies and surviving an ambush by the Japanese, we armed some explosives, destroyed the enemy base, and unlocked 2 more trophies for completing the mission in any difficulty and completing it on Veteran. I only died twice playing the first mission on Veteran, so I was quite confident about how the rest of the campaign would go. Little did I know.
Oh, my sweet summer child.
During that first mission, we also managed to collect our first death card, World at War's equivalent of Intel. This one's important for another trophy, but we'll get to that later in the video.
A few moments later.
The second mission, Little Resistance, saw us storm the beaches of Peleliu Island to take control from the Japanese soldiers, and introduces us to 2 new weapons, the naval bombardment and the flamethrower. After using the airstrike to take out 4 or more Japanese soldiers at the start of the mission, we unlocked another mythical trophy, Weapon of Mass Destruction. During the American missions on World at War, you could be ambushed by on-Russian Banzai attacks. After successfully defending my first attack by a Banzai, I also received the Close Shave trophy.
See if you can get a fighting position.
Again, this mission really wasn't that tough at all, and after another 7 deaths, as well as watching our own Sergeant Sullivan die right before our eyes, we completed the mission and received another trophy for completing it on Veteran difficulty. The third mission, Hard Landing, is where things start to get a little bit more difficult. After pushing inland on Peleliu Island, we're ambushed again by Japanese forces. I know, what a surprise, right? We carried on clearing out waves of enemies across the toplands and assaulted the bunkers before a marine with a flamethrower was wiped out in front of us. We picked up his flamethrower, and on our way to securing the airfield, we found a sniper hiding in a tree, and once we burned him alive, we earned the No Safe Place trophy. At the end of the mission, after clearing out and claiming the airfield, we had to defend against some counterattacks from the Japanese. Honestly, I sat here for a good 20 to 30 minutes, having no idea what I was meant to do. But after holding out for a few more minutes, and dying 16 more times, we unlocked The Sword is Broken for completing the mission on Veteran. Now the next few missions is where the death counter really starts to ramp up. Vendetta is the first Russian mission in the game and sees us link up with Viktor Reznov for the very first time. In his injured state, Reznov hands us a sniper to take out some German soldiers in our way. Now, there is a missable trophy here for shooting all the soldiers and dogs without reloading, which I of course missed. But we can come back to that one later. After clearing out all the enemies, we end up in the open where we're targeted by a sniper in the building across the road from us. And this is where another 20 minutes of pure struggle ensued. You see, this sniper doesn't only have some sort of invisibility cloak, but also aim that even FaZe Clan would be proud of. I died over and over and over again at this stage, and to rub salt into the wounds even more, I managed to unlock the Purple Heart trophy for dying 20 times in a single mission. Thanks for that, Treyarch. After finally killing the sniper, we escaped some more Germans and met up with our comrades, defending them as they assaulted a German outpost. Once we secured the area, General Amsel, who we were attempting to assassinate the entire time, tries making his escape, but before he gets the chance, we give him a bullet to the skull. We escape once more and unlock the Architect trophy for completing the mission on Veteran, dying 36 times along the way.
Day 2.
The next mission, There Land There Blood, starts with us being once again held captive and being rescued by Reznov. We fought through hordes of enemies in the trenches ahead, and after clearing them all out, we were greeted by 4 enemy tanks. We picked up a Panzerschreck, took out all 4 tanks from the defending enemies, and as we made a push to the barn ahead, took out yet another tank and reached the final part of the mission. Now this next stage is where most of my deaths came in this mission. If it wasn't being killed by an MG, it was a grenade. If it wasn't a grenade, it was a sniper. I spent 20 minutes just trying to get past this one section alone, but after finding a good enough hiding spot to take out all the enemies and listen to Reznov's speech, and dying another 18 times, we received another trophy for completing the mission on Veteran. Now this next mission might be the worst and most frustrating I've played in any Call of Duty, and I've played a lot. The mission Burn 'Em Out sees us back in control of Private Miller, and all we have to do is take out 3 Japanese mortar teams to progress. Sounds easy, right? Honestly, it actually really wasn't too bad until I made it to the final pit. I managed to clear out the first 2 pits with just a handful of deaths, but this third one might actually be the single worst checkpoint in any Call of Duty campaign. This final pit was at the end of a dark and closed bunker where the enemies felt like they had aimbot, your teammates were about as useful as a chocolate teapot, and there was not a single checkpoint until you cleared out the entire bunker and pit. Oh boy. I tried so many different methods to try and get past this stage. The run and gun, the slow and steady, even the flamethrower approach. I was at this stage for nearly an hour and I really thought it was going to be my stumbling block. But I persevered on, and on the 50th attempt I finally caught a lucky break, clearing out the final bunker and putting an end to this awful mission. I died 59 times during the Burn 'Em Out mission, and you might be thinking, what was my reward for all that struggle? It was 1 bronze trophy. That was all I got.
Oh no! Anyway.
The 7th mission, Relentless, has us finally take full control of Pillaleu Island once and for all. And after feeling so unrewarded in the previous mission, I actually unlocked the mythical trophy Snake in the Grass, taking out a soldier line in the grass right at the start of the mission. Similar to Their Land, Their Blood, the majority of this mission was just pushing through trenches of Japanese soldiers, and we had to take out some anti-tank enemies along the way. All was going relatively smoothly until the end, where we had to follow a flame tank. And it felt like at every part of this checkpoint I'd peek and get my head popped off, or my team would just stand and stare at the enemies. I was stuck at that part for far too long, but eventually we progressed into the caves where some more enemies awaited us, and thankfully this part wasn't as bad. And after taking out the AA gunners and dying 29 times during the entire mission, we took over the island and unlocked 2 more trophies. Thankfully the 8th mission in the game, Blood and Iron, has us in a tank for the entire mission. So surely I couldn't die, right? Well, not quite. You see, when I first started this mission, I really did not have much of a clue about how to drive tanks in this game, and that got me killed a handful of times. Once I got the hang of it, I stalled through the area, taking out as many tanks, bunkers, and enemies as I could. It wasn't enough to earn the mythical trophy Iron Fist for destroying every tower and bunker in the mission, so we'll have to come back to that one later. But after taking out the final few enemies, we finished the mission and, as always, received a trophy for completing the mission on Veteran. Honestly, I think I was blessed with this next run of missions. The first of those, Ring of Steel, took us to Berlin, where we had to clear out an asylum as we pushed further into German territory. The section in the asylum actually had a lot of close quarters fighting, which did cause me to die a few times, but once I got the hang of the enemy locations, we moved forward and attacked the retreating soldiers. I didn't actually realise at this stage that the tank had a usable machine gun, so I missed yet another mythical trophy. We did take another 12 deaths here, but upon completing the mission, we unlocked No Return. The next mission, Eviction, immediately follows the events in Ring of Steel as we finally make it to Berlin in hopes of gaining full control. We started off in an abandoned building, which we end up in a shootout with German soldiers. After clearing out that first building, we pushed into the streets of Berlin and into the subway system, where there were a lot more enemies waiting for us. And in an attempt to catch us off guard, the lights were off in the subway system, and while this happened, we killed 10 enemies in the dark and unlocked the Shot in the Dark trophy. Now this section was a little bit frustrating with the checkpoints. I would get to the end of the subway sometimes and die, and the second I did I was put right back to the beginning of the sequence. But after 11 deaths in total, we were flooded out by the Germans and unlocked the When It Rains It Pours trophy. The next mission, Black Cats, was another vehicle mission and another opportunity to earn a trophy for completing the mission without dying. So surely this time I managed to do it, right? Yeah, it wasn't. I managed to die 5 times in this mission while trying to shoot down planes for another mythical trophy called Sum of All Zeros, where we have to take out 45 Japanese fighter jets. In my version playthrough, I've managed a measly 29, so we'll have to come back to this one later as well. There was also another mythical trophy right at the start of this mission for taking out each of the 6 spotlights on these 3 cargo ships, and once again, I missed this one on the first playthrough, so we'll have to get that one in the cleanup phase. After completing this mission, we unlocked 1 bad Gatos for completing the mission on Veteran. Now I know earlier I called Burn 'Em Out the worst COD mission I've ever played, but this next mission, Blowtorch and Corkscrew, might actually take the biscuit here. I started off the mission by clearing out the 3 bunkers with the satchel charges, and I did die a couple of times during the stage, but after a little bit of patience I made it to the final bunker that I had to clear out. Now I wish I was exaggerating here when I say that my next checkpoint came a full hour and a half after the last. You see, getting to this final bunker involves having to clear through seemingly endless waves of enemies, and I died so many times at this stage. Sometimes right at the start of the checkpoint, and other times I would make it the whole way to the bunker just to have my head popped off by some random enemy who spawned in at the very last second. I think the frustrating part about most of these difficult missions is that overall they actually aren't that hard. It's just that one particular section that always seems to cause me trouble. But 51 deaths later, and after clearing out the final bunker, we ended the mission and unlocked Blowtorch and Corkscrew for completing the mission on Veteran. Breaking Point is mission number 13 in the game and the final mission on the American side. Our goal in this mission was simple: to clear out all Japanese forces from Okinawa Island once and for all. Thankfully this mission was far simpler than Blowtorch and Corkscrew. We did have a lot of enemies to kill, and after finding some throwable mortars, I took out 8 enemies with them and picked up the missable trophy Mortardom. Towards the end of the mission we're faced with another dilemma and another missable trophy. As some Japanese soldiers appear to be surrendering, we're lured into a trap and have a decision to make: save Polonsky or save Roebuck. Now I kind of panicked and I saved Polonsky, which meant missing out on Guardian Angel, and although our victory was in vain, we received 2 trophies, one for completing the mission and another completing it on Veteran, dying 7 times in the process. Now we come to the mission I was dreading the most. If there's any mission I've heard too much about in World at War, it's Heart of the Reich. In this mission, we needed to attack German forces and storm the Reichstag. After pushing through the first set of enemies and making it through the library, we stormed the plaza and had to destroy the 4 flak guns being manned by German soldiers. The first part of this was by far the hardest. Every time I pushed towards one of the flak guns, I had new enemies spawning all around me, and if it wasn't enemies, it was grenades. There was just always constantly something going on. This took a good few tries and deaths to progress, but after destroying the first 2 flak guns, we pushed through the final 2 and destroyed those with relative ease. This final checkpoint has been labelled one of the hardest checkpoints in Call of Duty history, but I honestly didn't mind it too much. I mean, sure, I died about 10 times at this part, but with some patience and slowly creeping up towards the Reichstag, I was able to make that final push and complete the mission, dying 47 times along the way and earning the For the Motherland trophy. Downfall is the final World at War mission where we had to secure the Reichstag and place the Soviet flag on top of the building. Again, this was another straightforward mission. All of my deaths came at the start of the mission where I couldn't really see any of the enemies, and following an all-out gunfight and a final 9 deaths, the 313 deaths throughout the entire campaign, we completed the campaign on Veteran, earning ourselves 4 trophies for completing the mission on Veteran, completing all Soviet missions, completing the game on any difficulty, and completing it on Veteran. So after completing the campaign for the first time, we had 29 out of the 45 trophies for the Platinum, meaning we still had over a third of the trophies left to get. These were split between the co-op campaign mode and miscellaneous trophies, and because there were only 3 co-op trophies, I decided to go for these ones first. Now, I don't know anyone still playing World at War 16 years after release, so I joined a PSN profile session where these legends helped me get the trophies that I needed. For the trophies Get Your Right Foot Wet and Blue Ribbon, I had to complete a competitive co-op match and end the mission in first place. For this, we just replayed the first mission and my teammates let me get all the kills, so we wrapped these 2 up in about 5 minutes. The final co-op trophy, Get Your Left Foot Wet, was awarded for simply playing a campaign mission on co-op without the competitive filter. For this trophy, we just replayed the first mission over again, and 5 minutes later, our co-op experience on World at War was complete. All that was left between us and the Platinum Trophy now were 12 miscellaneous trophies. The first of which, Throw 6.5, we unlocked for completing the mission on Hardened or Veteran difficulty without dying. Having played through Semper Fi several times at this point, I went back and played this on Hardened, and a few minutes later I'd unlocked the trophy. Next we went back to Vendetta to pick up our 2 missable trophies for this mission, the first of which was for taking out General Amsel's henchmen without reloading. Thankfully this time I was actually able to aim properly and pick this trophy up very easily. After playing through to the end of the mission, I needed to kill General Amsel with a pistol that I picked up earlier in the mission, and I thought I'd mess this one up until right at the final second, I managed to do this. Following on from that, I went back to Blood and Iron and made sure to take out every tower and bunker for the Iron Fist trophy. And immediately followed it up with 15 mounted tank kills in Ring of Steel for the trophy Ruthless. 2 of our last 3 mission-specific missable trophies came in the mission Black Cats for shooting out the spotlights on the convoy and destroying the 45 Japanese planes. I unlocked the Lights Out trophy on the first run, but the Sum of All Zeros trophy took a fair few attempts, For some reason, I just could not get close to the number of planes I needed. But after watching a few YouTube guides, I played it checkpoint by checkpoint, and if I hadn't hit a certain target, I'd restart from the previous checkpoint. Thankfully, this worked an absolute treat, and a few minutes later, I had finally unlocked the Sum of All Zeros trophy. I then went back to the final American mission breaking point and sacrificed Polonsky, saving Roebuck and earning the Guardian Angel trophy. The trophies Kamikaze and Firefighter are obtained by completing any mission using only one type of weapon. Kamikaze required us to use only melee weapons or grenades, and also required us to play on regular or higher difficulty. So I went back to the tried and trusted Semper Fi mission, clearing out all the enemies with just my knife, earning the Kamikaze trophy. The Firestarter trophy only allowed us to use a flamethrower, which meant going back to our least favourite mission, burn them out. This trophy wasn't tied to any difficulty, and I cannot explain the satisfaction of being able to run through that final trench, burning every enemy to shreds, especially after the original playthrough. And once we cleared out that final trench again, the Firestarter trophy was ours.
Tougher than any of us could ever have imagined.
Earlier in the video I mentioned that there are death cards available to collect in every single mission, and I only had the one card after my first playthrough, so I quickly ran through the other 12 missions that have death cards, making sure to pick up all 13 for the Grave Robber trophy. And for our final trophy for the World at War Platinum, we had to kill 3 enemies with a single bullet. I have no idea how I didn't get this in my first playthrough, but I loaded up Vendetta one last time, and after lining up 3 German soldiers and taking them out, we unlocked Rough Economy and World at War's Platinum trophy. If you've made it this far, I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching. If you have any other suggestions for games you think I should platinum, please let me know in the comments. And in the meantime, check out some of my other Platinum Trophy videos. Thanks for watching.